Hi, come on in. There's always room for one more in Donna's Sewing Circle. How are you today? Today, if you have found me, that's a miracle in itself because there's so many videos on this World Wide Web. But more than likely, you are a beginner quilting and you stumbled on my series because you're wanting to learn how to quilt. This is lesson 3 in a series of 15. I do have a link in the comments and in the description below of a book that complements the video. If you want to purchase it, you can follow along. It's a little workbook. The book will allow you not to have to keep returning back to my video and looking for that spot that you are looking for, because everything I cover in the video is in the book. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. Today's video, which is number 3, is about choosing fabrics. And as you can see by my wall back here, I have a lot of fabric and we're going to play with it today. I want to show you a little bit about fabrics. 99% of this is quilting fabric. That doesn't mean I got it from a quilting store. I could have purchased it from Walmart. The Walmart quality is not as good as quality you get from a quilting store. It is what it is. But if that's all you could afford, then go ahead and get it, as long as it's the cotton. Do not get the nylon, do not get the stretchy. It does not make a good quilt. Our grandmother made a quilt from polyester. I would stay away from it as a beginner. Now, once you get more qualified, more understanding quilting, and you feel more comfortable, then you can experiment a little bit with different fabrics, because our grandmothers did. I know I do. But as a beginner, I would highly recommend you start with quilting cotton. After the cotton, there's values. There's different shades of red. Not all reds would go together, like this dark red here. Just because it's red doesn't mean that it will go with, let me see if I can find a red that it would not go with. Doesn't mean that it would go necessarily with this, because there's orange reds and then there's dark reds. They kind of clash. So when you're purchasing fabric, take swatches with you that you're working with that you need to match, because if you think, oh, I've got red at home, this will look wonderful with it, it won't. So be sure you take swatches of fabric with you, that you consider the contrast of the fabric. Okay, another thing is contrast. Color wheel helps tremendously. Contrasting, like if you had the red orange, if you go across the wheel, these colors up here match. So if I had the blue and the green, you follow the arrow, these are contrasting, these colors here. You can find color wheels online. You can ask ChatGPT to help you and to bring up the color wheel. So, and then you can take that with you, because quilts, you need a contrast. Not all quilts are reds, not all quilts are blues. There's many times a contrasting color in there to make it pop. So contrasting colors is to make a section pop. And then another thing to consider is the scale. If you get a quilt with a very large print, let me see. This is a bad example, but this is a large print. And so when you're doing a print scale, you do not want something with a huge print with tiny prints. They clash. So if you get something with a large print, let's say this, you want to get something like a blender to go with it. You don't want something with a whole lot of, let's say, triangles or circles. It would be contrasting. So it's something you learn as you go. I'll try and help you. Well, not try. I will. I'll help you as we go along to show more fabrics. And then another thing is the directional fabric, like the palm trees. It's directional. You don't want your palm trees to be upside down or sideways in your quilt. So you always want to pay attention to that when you're buying fabric, and when you're putting the fabric together, that you're paying attention which way the items are going. I've had students not pay attention to direction, and they've ended up with dogs upside down or sideways or something like that. Some quilts, it doesn't matter. It's if you do it the entire quilt, they'll think it's part of the design that you created. But if you have one block that's upside down and everything else is right side up, they know that you made a mistake. And that's something to pay attention to. Mistakes happen, okay? Not any quilt, no quilt is perfect. Only God is perfect. So remember that. If you make a mistake, that could be your little signature. This is the mistake I made. You don't have to correct every tiny mistake. I know the OCD students I had, that drove them crazy. They had to have everything perfect, and they would seam rip and seam rip. God bless their little hearts, but it doesn't have to be that way. Not any quilt. No quilt is perfect. I've seen some that are near perfect, but not all. Okay, enough about that. Now, fabric collections. I don't know if you can see. I buy a lot of stuff secondhand, and I have a whole lot of these browns. This was a collection. They were sold as a collection, and they are beautiful when you're making a quilt because all the fabrics match. So that's another thing to consider. You can buy uh, collections online, collections in quilt stores. I don't believe they have collections in Hobby Lobby. I think you have to go to an actual quilt store to find collections. You can find them online. Okay, and then we have coordinating fabric. Let me give you a sneak peek. This will be the first quilt we make. I will be giving this out free on my website so you can follow along and we can make this quilt together. But this quilt requires 3 fabrics. If you notice in the pattern, this is a solid fabric. It doesn't have to be, but it's the main color. It's red. So this fabric here has the same color value as the red, the solid red. And then we have the coordinating fabric, which is the cream. The cream is found in this fabric, and it's found, well, the red it matches it coordinates with it. So that's coordinating fabrics, to find 3 fabrics that go together. So I hope you learned something today. I know fabric can be confusing. It took me several years. I had to have my friend who helped me learn to quilt. She had to go with me to purchase fabric because I couldn't understand it. I was buying stuff that, oh, it was awful. One day I'll drag out my very first quilt. I think it's used as a doggy bed right now. It was awful. It was a mess. So if your first quilt's a mess, be proud of it. Don't throw it away. Hold on to it, because one day, 20 years, 10 years, 5 years from now, you'll look at it and think, wow, I've really progressed. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe. This is lesson 3. We're about ready to do lesson 4. So don't miss it, and I'll see you in a few minutes.